What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Triple Threat Talk podcast. I'm your host, Connor Ryan. Today is December 19th. It is 11:20 p.m. I just finished up watching the Boston Celtics lose to the Chicago Bulls. I think the final score was 117 to 108. We'll be talking about that game towards the end of this podcast, but yeah, we are going to cover some of the games from Monday, and then we're going to cover the NBA Cup final. It will be a shorter episode than usual because of just the volume of games from this week, not nearly as much as a usual episode. And also, on another note, I will not be recording and releasing an episode for next Tuesday. I will be on vacation with family, and I don't really want to have to take time out of my vacation to put out an episode, but you will be getting a special episode from not only myself, but from my brother as well. My brother AJ, he will be on episode 15. Or wait, actually, I am curious. Yeah, no, this is episode 14. Sorry. So episode 14. But for episode 15, there will be a special edition with a guest, my brother AJ, in person, first in-person interview. We are going to just be talking about some of the Christmas matchups, and everything like that. And actually, before I begin, I'll talk about those Christmas matchups. 5 matchups for Christmas Day. I have, I guess, the hot take that I like NBA Christmas more than I like Thanksgiving NFL. And the reason for that being, I don't really want to watch the Cowboys. The Lions, for the majority of my life, haven't been good. They had a very good game this year against the Bears. And then that third game is kind of what carried Thanksgiving. It did again. It was a very good game again this year with the Packers and the Dolphins. But with NBA Christmas, you generally get like 3 or 4 games that are pretty good. I know a lot of the discourse on Twitter has been that the games aren't very good this season. And I guess my opinion doesn't matter, but I'll give it because you asked for it and you're listening to this podcast, so you might as well. The 5 matchups are Spurs going to New York to face the Knicks. I think the Mavericks traveling to Minnesota to face the Timberwolves. I want to say it's the Warriors going to LA to face off against the Lakers. The 76ers coming to Boston to face off against the Celtics, and then the Nuggets going to Phoenix to play the Suns. Now, in a current moment, you can say this about some of the matchups. Knicks aren't one of the top teams, or are one of the top teams in the East. Spurs aren't. Minnesota has been underperforming this season. Warriors and Lakers aren't really, that good of teams anymore. They're kind of washed up. And then 76ers are trash this season. It's going to be a cakewalk for the Celtics. And then for the Suns and Nuggets, it's like two kind of injury prone teams, or Nuggets haven't been performing well except for Jokic, and then an injury prone Suns team. I know people know this, but people act like they don't know this. Scheduling happens a long time before the game is even played. And I think NBA Christmas might be like what's first scheduled, because they have to worry about other teams. They have to worry about teams that are basically just teams that are gonna kind of just be in the thick of it, and the storylines you want to know. Knicks were chosen because they're one of the top teams, and they were one of the top teams in the East last season, and they had high expectations. This was long before, these games were announced long before Karl-Anthony Towns was on the Knicks. And what they decided to do was say, hey, Victor Wembanyama, why don't you go to New York to play in the Mecca on Christmas Day at the earliest time slot where probably most people are going to be watching because it's the first game of the day, and play against the Knicks. That makes perfect sense. You want to set up the future superstar of your league, future potential best player of the league, you put him in the biggest stage in terms of the NBA, which is Madison Square Garden. I remember they did this with Giannis in a couple years ago. And it worked. It propelled Giannis to heights that we are now seeing as the true superstar that he is. And that's great to see. Not every game is perfect. We saw a great game between the Bulls and the Celtics tonight. We saw a great game that I'm going to cover, speaking of the Bulls, between the Bulls and the Raptors. We saw a great game between the Nuggets and the Kings. Just because a matchup is on paper doesn't mean it's actually going to be a good matchup. So that's why that matchup was put in. Mavericks Timberwolves is pretty self-explanatory. It's a rematch of the Western Conference Finals. And also, they were going into this thinking that it would be a true rematch, except this time the Mavericks would add Klay Thompson. But no, they added Klay Thompson, they added Najee Marshall, and the Timberwolves lost Karl-Anthony Towns and gained Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, which is great. I think that adds to more value to the matchup. I think it will still be a very good matchup. You get to watch one of the biggest superstars in the league in Luka and a budding superstar in Anthony Edwards. You get to watch one of the best shot creators and just overall best point guards and skilled point guards in NBA history in Kyrie Irving. And then you just get to watch some like entertaining, like recent kind of mini rivalry. I mean, Lakers Warriors was like a given, right? Like we all, like it makes sense. We all kind of were expecting it. It's just the two faces of the league that the league can't give up on yet. Like I'll get into marketing in a little bit, but it's like that's gonna do numbers. You're gonna get all the LeBron sexuals and all the Curry lovers to watch that game and just get a ton of interactions on Twitter, whatever. Celtics Sixers makes sense. One of the biggest rivalries in the Eastern Conference history, like rooting all the way back to the Wilt and Bill Russell days. That's self-explanatory. And also, when you looked at it at the beginning of the season, you see the reigning defending champs versus the new big three that many people are suspecting, hey, this is going to take over the Celtics. Injuries happen. It's just how it is. And then you have two teams in the West, in the Suns and the Nuggets, who sadly underperformed from their expectations last year and are looking to show who is the better of us. So, do I understand why people are frustrated, specifically like the Cavs, the Thunder, the Bucks, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, the Rockets fans? Yeah, I understand. I understand why you're pretty mad about it. No question about it. But you also have to look at it from the marketing aspect. You can't just look at it from these teams are going to play. These should be the matchups. I think there's a reason why they put certain teams in the NBA Cup together. That's why I think the Celtics and the Cavs were put together in the NBA Cup. It wasn't just because we picked 5 random teams from the East. I think what they were hoping was, hey, it's going to be the wild card is going to be between one of these two teams because they're just going to sweep the rest of them. But unfortunately, the Hawks came through and messed that up. That's what's great about the Cup. But the storylines is the most important thing about ESPN or NBA Christmas. If there was the ability to flex and say, hey, you guys unfortunately have not been performing well enough, then sure, get the Thunder in there over the Lakers. Get the Thunder in there over the Nuggets or whoever you want to put it in. I don't care. These aren't decisions that are made 2 weeks before Christmas. This is a decision made probably 6 to 10 months before Christmas. It's not a easy process to pick these games. You are predicting the future more than anything. And so I guess my final note to the Twitter people, just so what? So what? It would be completely different if it was purely based on just a specific player. And sure, what I mean by that more so is it's better to have this than if it was a cycle system. Because then you would have years where it would be yeah, the Hornets are playing on Christmas Day. The Nets are playing on Christmas Day. The Raptors are playing on Christmas Day. You don't want blowouts. You'd rather have an interesting storyline and a possible contention of a good game. Nobody knows these are going to be bad games, but nobody knows if they're going to be good games, and that's what's great about it. So yeah, I think it's a little bit far-fetched for fans and just people in general to kind of criticize NBA Christmas so much when there really isn't anything in their control to have the future eye to see it. If they could, that'd be really cool, but they don't. So it is what it is. So yeah, shall we get into some games? I think we shall. So we have 3 games from the Monday slate. We have 1 game from the NBA Cup slate, and then I'll talk about the Celtics Bulls game from tonight. And then I'm going to go through my top 5 players in the league. I will address the one Instagram question I was given. Is from my friend Jade. We went to college together. Jade asked, talk to a podcast collab when? Probably never. I don't think she would care about my opinions. It is what it is. I don't know why I did that. That was weird. Anyway, we're going to move on. Wow, Karl Anthony Towns has 30 points and 18 rebounds against the Timberwolves right now. And Chargers won. Shout out Primetime. Shout out Peter. Yeah, I mean, let's get right into it. First game up, we got the Detroit Pistons defeating the Miami Heat in overtime, 125-124. Really good game. Cade Cunningham led the way with a triple-double, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 18 assists, a new career high. I think it was last week against the Celtics, he set a career high of 15 assists, and it was like from the game before he broke that career high. So in the Celtics game, he got 15 assists. The game before, he got 14, and he just broke that record, his own career high again. Shout out Cade. Malik Beasley, 28 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Sar Thompson, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 steals, 1 block. And Jalen Duren, 9 points, 16 rebounds. The Pistons, and I've been saying this, I feel like a lot of things I say, I will think I say them a lot, but like sometimes I don't. This I have been saying for quite a long time. The Pistons are a much talented roster than people will give them credit for. And by people I mean the casuals, because Cade Cunningham is very good. Malik Beasley has improved his shooting very much significantly over the past couple of years. Asar Thompson, and a lot of the praise goes to Amen, but like Asar Thompson is very good. And Jalen Duren is a very good, effective rebounder. Jaden Ivey didn't really play that well in this game, and I also think he was out of tonight's contest against the Jazz, in which they lost. So, but JB Bickerstaff is really doing everything. Is really putting everything in the right position for the Pistons to succeed this season. Cade Cunningham has very much deserved to get the recognition to be on a all-star team. Like, he has been a legit star in this league. And that's what's so interesting about the entirety of the East is you have such good guard play, but you don't have the top 2 or 3 guys. Like, I feel like it's weird to put him at 3 because even with the stinker he just had against the Grizzlies, but it's Shea and Luka, whatever direction you have him in. I have him Luka, Shea, and then it's Curry, and then it's like all East guards for now. It's like Jalen, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, Darius Garland at times, Jaylen Brown, if you want to consider him a guard and not a forward, Derek White. And then you have like LaMelo Ball, Cade Cunningham, Cam Thomas even. Like, I know Cam Thomas probably won't be in that much consideration for an all-star team because of his injury, but like still, it's the impact that those guys have. And there's no doubt about how important they are to their respective teams. Cade Cunningham is the engine of the Detroit Pistons. He has improved in his facilitation, his playmaking ability, his care for the team, his leadership especially, and also getting in the dirty work of getting rebounds, playing better defense. And he is their clutch bucket guy. He has the ability, like if he really wanted to, he could cut that assist number in half and make them isolation points, and he could easily average like 30 points a game. But that isn't the type of player he is. He wants to look for his teammates and facilitate. He wants to make sure that they are involved and get their game going and get into their rhythm in order to help to succeed for the team. And that's great to see. I know I say that's great to see quite a lot, but it is. It's very good. And I think Cade is really emerging as a true top guard with his play as of late, especially. He's had multiple triple doubles. I think he's only behind Nikola Jokic for most triple doubles in the league right now. I know he was like right behind LeBron and Jokic, but I think he might have surpassed LeBron, especially with LeBron being absent for some games. But the Pistons are a legit team. Do I think they make the playoffs? No, I think they're more of a play-in team, but still, it's not a pushover matchup. Malik Beasley, if he gets going, that's a problem that you don't want to have to deal with. Asar Thompson, a lot of the NBA media has been talking about Amen Thompson a lot more. And that's awesome. Both Thompsons deserve the credit. Asar Thompson has really pushed the envelope and said, hey, I am a very valuable defender as well. Look at my numbers. Like, he was just out with an injury. And Jalen Duren is a very effective rebounder. He's their new Andre Drummond. He's the modern day. Like, sure, he might not get a ton of points, but he's gonna grab the rebounds for you and play pretty solid defense. It is Marcus Sasser. Yeah. Why am I second guessing myself? Let me just double check because I feel like I'm Marcus Sasser. Like, he's incredibly effective off the bench, a very good on-ball defender. And then you have Ron Holland II, who is stepping into his own as a scorer. You have Fontecchio, who can shoot the ball pretty well from deep. Isaiah Stewart, who's a enforcer of that team. He's there like Rick Mahorn / Bill Laimbeer. Shout out my dad for that reference. Shout out the 80s. But just a gritty big win. Like, they were down by 8 with like 2 minutes remaining left in OT. Tim Hardaway Jr. hits 2 big threes to bring the game back within 1 score. And then it was just back and forth after that. But yeah, like, the Pistons deserve more respect. Will they make the playoffs? No. But they are a team not to just push over. They're not a team to just push to the side and say, easy matchup tonight. And as much as I have criticized the Heat in the past, they showed that they are still a very well-rounded, very solid team. Jimmy Butler led the entire game in scoring with 35 points, got a triple-double of his own. 35 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, and 4 steals with 0 turnovers. I think I saw on StatMuse on Twitter that was the first ever like recorded stat line of 35, 19, 10, and 4 with 0 turnovers. I know that's one of those ESPN stats where it's like hyper specific of those numbers, but like still, that's crazy impressive. Tyler Hero also added 23 points and 4 assists, but only shot 36%. So not very good. Bam came in, supplied 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. My question, a lot of the concerns I have with the Heat aren't really concerns that can be answered right now. If they move on from Jimmy, I think that's like kind of the smart move, because you almost like, I feel like you would like to get something in return for him, because it is rumored and it is most likely that he is not going to be returning to the team next year and will not be picking up his $50 million player option, which is crazy to think about. But like, you want to get some assets in return from that. You want to be able to get a little bit of production for your future. I don't know if Bradley Beal helps a lot with that future, but if you can get a pick or two out of it, that'd be huge. And I just think with the Heat, it's really just, they haven't had a lot of games this season where all of it has blended together. Like, we haven't had like it. I was talking a lot in the last episode about how the 76ers do have their big 3, but we just haven't really seen much of it. The Heat have their big 3. It's clearly Jimmy, Bam, and Tyler. A lot of the times, though, it's been Jimmy is out, Tyler and Bam are performing. Oh, Jimmy's back. Bam will not really have the best game. Like, if this became like, if Jimmy had like 27 points, Tyler had 23, and Bam had 22, then I think the Heat win a lot more games, but it just hasn't been able to all fall under the same game for it to really affect. But Duncan Robinson made some shots. I know Haywood Highsmith is really earning minutes on that team. Terry Rozier is pretty questionable with that roster. A lot of Heat fans were, and this is the prime example of good player, bad team goes to good team. Or good numbers, bad team goes to a good team with a lesser role. Like, If the Heat got Charlotte, Terry Rozier, then sure, that's great. That'd be great for them. 20 point per game scorer in addition to 3 guys who can easily put up 30. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's just not how basketball works. There's one basketball on the court at a time. And Terry Rozier is much more of a spot up shooter than he is a catch and shoot shooter. What do these 3 guys need to really help their team win? The ball in their hand on the offensive side, more specifically. So I think that's kind of just like what the impact of trades are. It's the same thing with Dennis Schroeder. Warriors fans think they're getting, like Warriors fans really thought like they were getting like the next in like next version of Jordan, when in reality they're just getting a solid backup point guard. You good? Yeah. Remy's just chilling over there. Can we get a Remy check real quick? Yes, we can. There's Remy, the little lady. But back to the Heat. Yeah, I don't know when. I don't know who the move is going to be with, but I think it should happen soon. It should happen sooner rather than later. But yeah, just big win for the Pistons. Like, to sum this game up, if this game was played last year and it got to overtime, Pistons aren't winning this game. JB Bickerstaff has brought in a culture, has brought in an identity that is much more like team oriented and is going to help them achieve more. And that is very important for this team. So, big win for the Pistons. Next game up, the Bulls defeated the Raptors 122-121. It was close in the end, but the Bulls did have a lot of the control in this game. Zach LaVine did not play, but Nikola Vucevic led the way with 24 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Josh Giddey, 11 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, and Kobe White, 19 points, 5 assists, and 3 steals. I know I'll be talking about the Bulls again in a little bit. They are a weird roster in that the 2 best players on that team most likely won't be on that team by the end of the season. I think Zach LaVine will probably end up going to the Nuggets, and then Nikola Vucevic, I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers get him, or at least try and really pursue him, because I just think that's where the best fit is. But the Bulls are very, very underrated. When Zach LaVine is scoring, they are on fire. Ayo Dosunmu is very talented. Taylor Horton Tucker, mini MJ, or MJ at home, I like to call him, is playing pretty solid. And then also it's just with a lot of the Bulls players, it's just like kind of just like almost like a ragtag group. Like Kobe White is finding his shot. Like Dalen Terry, I know, has been injured for a little bit. Montas Buzelis is trying to find his spots. Jalen Smith, same with him. So I think a lot of this team, it seems almost very disoriented, but Billy Donovan like has them together very well, and like defensively they're very sound. Rotationally, offensively, they move the ball quick, and they do shoot the second most amount of threes, only behind the Celtics. But they're a solid team, no doubt about it. For the Raptors, RJ Barrett, 32 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Grady Dick, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and Chris Boucher, 11 and 10. Jakob Poeltl, I know, went down early with an injury. I think it was a hip injury. I think he should be fine. It's not long term. I mean, the Raptors, I feel like, here's my honest thoughts about the Raptors. If I was their GM, I wish there was a quit now, delete the save file, and just restart kind of thing. I wouldn't have signed Emmanuel Quickley to that long of a deal. I wouldn't have signed RJ Barrett to that long of a deal, because guess what? RJ Barrett is playing in the best career of is having the best year of his career, and you can't trade him away. Like, his contract is too expensive to like make financial sense to trade away. And that sucks. The one guy who is probably going to get moved is Jakob Poeltl, which I think is the right move. I think if anybody were to be moved, it should be Poeltl. He's been playing ridiculous. I think that's like the other guy that the Lakers should look at in getting. Ben Britton, let me know if you agree. But I just think like it's it's a weird balance of young veterans and just young guys. Scotty Barnes is a young guy. RJ Barrett is a young veteran at this point. Pirtle is a young veteran. Like, Bruce Brown, like, I don't even know. Like, I know injuries has really been a detriment to them, especially with the lack of Scotty Barnes being able to play, the lack of Emmanuel Quickly being able to play, and the lack of Bruce Brown being able to play. Those are 3 impact players that if they are playing in this game, you probably get the win. But injuries are just a part of the game. You can't control it. And that's tough. And so when you have a team like this that are putting up these performances, like good, solid performances, like losing to the Celtics in Boston in overtime off a buzzer beater from Jason Tatum from 30 feet out. Like multiple games where they are just so close on the cusp of winning. You just want to be able to like just try and get your guys to like put in a little bit of extra effort, but you don't know what to say sometimes. And I just don't really like. Grady Dick has a great game. RJ Barrett, very good game. If Jakob Poeltl doesn't go down, then maybe they win this game. I don't know. But the Raptors are really in one of the most unfortunate situations. And I know a lot of fans are, I know like a lot of people who are saying like the Raptors have a bright future. They do if they had this team 2 years ago. If 2 years ago they had this team on more favorable contracts, then yeah, I would say yeah, they have a pretty good future ahead of them. Pirtle on a solid deal, RJ Barrett on a team friendly deal, or at least a little bit more friendly. Like Grady Dick, Chris Boucher, like a lot of like Ochai Agbaji, like just a bunch of guys who would be great on other teams, but they don't work in Toronto because they are trying to be a bigger role than they actually should be, which is good for development, which is good for team chemistry. You also get to learn a lot about yourself, but that doesn't help when you are trying to develop, when you're trying to get trade assets or just draft picks in general. So I do think the Raptors have a bright future. I think they have a future, but I don't know how bright it is. And we won't really know until we get closer to said future. So final game from the Monday slate, and the game of the night, no doubt about it. The Nuggets defeated the Sacramento Kings 130 to 129. Nikola Jokic, another triple-double. Are we surprised at this point? 20 points, 14 rebounds, 13 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Jamal Murray, really been stepping it up as of late. 28 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. Russell Westbrook with a near triple-double, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals. And Aaron Gordon with the 24 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. The Nuggets are probably the most interesting team in the NBA this season, just because of kind of the overall aspect of just their team nature. They are such a good team with Nikola Jokic. They're such a bad team without him. While I was rewatching highlights for this, I said that if like I'm always gonna ride with the Celtics for having the best 6-man rotation in the league. But if you could have like NBA style, like NBA 2K style, like no injuries, unlimited stamina, and a 6-man rotation, like this would actually be like a Western Conference Finals level matchup. Because the primary 6 for the Nuggets, let's say it's Jokic, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Jamal, Christian Brown, and Russell Westbrook. That's a really good 6. The King 6, sorry, that was Remy. The King 6 of De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis, and Malik Monk. That's also an absurd starting like 6 guys to just be using. So, but unfortunately, it's not like no injuries. It's not just 6 guys. And that's where the detriment of these teams happen. Keon Ellis is very good for the Kings. Julian Strawther is solid. Peyton Watson is solid. But that's kind of the extent of these teams. I know the Kings have been dealing with injuries. Like when Doug McDermott has been playing pretty solid, and I know it's just like Alex Len. I know but I know they're without Trey Lyles. I know in this game they were without Herter and Keegan Murray. They are so reliant on their offense. They would allow so many face cuts across the middle of the paint that would lead to Aaron Gordon just easy dunks. They were down 44-21 at one point in this game. And there were points where they were up by like 6. They have the offensive firepower to truly bring you back in this game. Back to the Nuggets real quick. Then I'll get back to the Kings. This is a big win for the Nuggets. Big momentum win, especially without Christian Brown. And especially on like a Jokic off shooting night. Like Jamal really stepped it up. Aaron Gordon played really well. I know MPJ didn't have the best game, but it is what it is. If you haven't watched it yet and you're just bored looking for some time, go ahead and watch on YouTube like the final 3 minutes of this game. All right, go watch it. Pause this video and go watch it. Wasn't it awesome? It was so good. Like just back and forth, high-speed basketball, keeping fans intrigued, and just a great game. And this is what makes the NBA so good. I understand people don't like the amount of threes that are taken at times. I know that people don't like the lack of marketing for certain stars. I know people don't like the same superstars being shoved down people's throats. It is what it is. When you have a game like this, and it results in a 1-point game with DeMar DeRozan catching the ball and just losing handle of it, and almost getting it back, getting it taken away, and the buzzer sounding, and just having that emotion, oh my God, that's such a good game. But of course, people are just going to be like, well, what about the stats? Watch it, and you'll be so much better for it. Jamal hit some really big shots. He was the one that closed it out. 17-footer right up towards the top of the key. And there are times where, and there have been plenty of times this season where Jamal Murray has not shown up. I'm not going to defend Jamal in all of his performances, but he showed up. He was he was the leading scorer for the Nuggets, and it showed. He had some really big shots, really big threes, catch and shoot, pull up, whatever it was. But and this is just where the Nuggets are most effective. When Jamal Murray has his shot going, whenever he's making his shots, that's when the Nuggets become the reigning defending the champions of 2 seasons ago. So sorry, a little water break. For the Kings, just super balanced game. DeMar DeRozan, I know, didn't shoot well, but still finished with 17 points. I mean, if you were to tell a Kings fan that Malik Monk would have 25, Domantas Sabonis would have 28, De'Aaron Fox would have 29, and DeMar DeRozan has 17, and you lose, like I would be irate. I wouldn't know what to do. And, that's okay. It's okay. You're not supposed to win every game. But the Kings need to figure out a defensive scheme. Just something. Like, I'm not asking them to get Derek White, Drew Holiday, Herb Jones, Wemby, anything like that. But if you have a little bit better understanding of defensive rotations, if you have just some better communication on defense, if you have another defensive lockdown guy like Keon Ellis, that wins you a game. I know Sabonis played very good defense on Jokic. I'm not going to discredit him on that whatsoever. He played fantastic. His toughness showed and just would not let Jokic budge. And you could see Jokic getting frustrated. But it is like the kind of just like the gap moments where it's like, hey, you literally see somebody making a face cut in front of you and just letting it happen. Like that is like a lackadaisical effort. And when you put yourself in a 22-point hole, it doesn't matter if you're able to dig out of it. It's just harder. It's harder to win basketball like that. So, really good game, though. Very good game. One game on Tuesday. It was the Bucks versus the Thunder for the NBA Cup final. Makes no sense that this game doesn't count. Makes no sense that this game doesn't go on a record. I don't know what needs to be done, but I mean, technically it is the 83rd game for these teams, but it is. Who cares? Like, So what? Bucks defeated the Thunder 97-81. Giannis led the way with 26 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. Wow. Just bravo. Just a masterclass. Damian Lillard supported him as well with 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and Brook Lopez 13 points and 9 boards. The Bucks are the NBA Cup champions for the 2024 season, and they deserved it. They cracked the code. They decided, let's get 2 guys from the team that went undefeated in the Cup last year, the Lakers, and Darvin Ham and Taurean Prince. Let's go undefeated this year. And it worked. No, I'm kidding. During the NBA Cup, Giannis played like the best player in the world. Simple as that. And that's what won them this tournament. Damian Lillard stepped up big time. Bobby Portis had good games. Brook Lopez had good games. The uprising of Derry Bird, AJ Green, that is, has really helped this team, not only just in a shooting aspect, but in just an overall aspect. He's not somebody that you can just pick on the other end of the ball. He is grown as a defender. Gary Trent Jr. hit big shots. I know he finished with 13 points. So the Bucks are really on an upswing. A lot of the concern with them was, sure, you're 8-1 in your last, or 8-2 or whatever it was in your last however many games. You haven't really played a lot of competition. Well, they just played the Magic, the Hawks, and then the Thunder, and they won all those games. Sure, you could question the Magic win because there was no Franz or no Paolo. You can kind of question the Hawks win because you could say, like, oh, the Hawks aren't that good. Well, they took care of them, and then they just dismantled the best defense in the NBA while also holding them to only 81 points. So the Bucks are definitely back into the talks of being one of the best teams in the East, and I wasn't concerned about the Bucks at the beginning of the season. I was actually, the only concerning part I had was just like, I was just shocked that it was happening more than anything. I wasn't like thinking, like, this makes sense. Like, I definitely had the Bucks going very, like, being at the bottom of the league and being in contention to get Cooper Flag at the beginning of the season with Giannis Antetokounmpo. No, I didn't have that. Like, I knew they would right the ship. I knew that they would figure things out, and they have. They are going to be on the right track. I think they're going to be using this momentum to help them the rest of the season, but I don't have them as a top 2 team in the East. I still have the Cavs. I still have the Celtics. And I don't think many people are going to disagree with me on that. I know they have a game on Friday, tomorrow, today, if you're listening to the podcast, the day of. I know they have a game against the Cavs in which Damian Lillard is going to be out of. So I think that will make that game just a little bit harder. I also think it's in Cleveland, which isn't great for the Bucks, but it is what it is. It's just the NBA. For the Thunder, Isaiah Hartenstein led the way with 16 points, 12 rebounds. Jalen Williams, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 21 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. He shot Kobe 8 of 24, which isn't very good. We also found out Jalen Williams isn't great at math because he thought 10 of 19 was less than 50%. In fact, it's more. I'm sure he is aware of his mistake, and it is what it is. Am I concerned about the Thunder? No, I'm not. Did it suck? And did they poop the bed from 3? Yeah, they did. It was really bad. But it is what it is. SGA is still going to be one of the best, is still not going to be. He still is one of the best players in the league. Jalen Williams is one of the best players in the league. He is emerging all-star. And the addition of Isaiah Hartenstein is probably the best free agent acquisition in the entire summer so far. Oh, and by the way, they are also missing their 7'1" stretch 4, who is a freak in Chet Holmgren. So I think if Chet Holmgren is in this game, it might result differently. Did it? No. He just couldn't hit a 3. They could not hit a shot. And I think that's a lot of the concern that's a lot of my concern, at least with the Thunder. They have the best defense in the NBA. No question about it. They have historically one of the best defenses ever. When you have only one true shot creator, though, sometimes 2 in Jalen Williams, but he uses the movement and creation of SGA a lot more than just pulling up and making his own shots. When you have one guy who is your primary shot creator, and dare I say your only, and he isn't hitting shots, it's not a very good offensive game plan. He wasn't hitting the mid-range shots that he usually does. He was not hitting the threes. I mean, none of them were. But that just results in losing basketball. 81 points is not a lot of points. That's 30 points below league average. 31, in fact. You got to be able to have that balance. And defensively, they are supreme. Aaron Wiggins, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, SGA, J-Dub, Isaiah Hartenstein, the other Jalen Williams, like Chet, Isaiah Joe, Nikola Topic when he is healthy next season and going to help with more guard play. 100%. Like this team is very good, but they just don't have a lot of scoring. And it is tough to see that. They don't have a lot of individual scorers. They have a lot of guys who react and are able to score off of somebody else, but they don't have a lot of isolation guys. And sure, you can hate isolation ball all you want. It's important. That's usually what it is. You're not going to be running a pretty basic set play at the end of a game. You're going to get the ball in your guy's hands, and he's going to create a basket, whether that's passing to somebody or whether it's taking the shot himself. I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned for the Thunder. I'm not worried. I'm not concerned. It is what it is. Would it have been cool to win the cup? Absolutely. But they didn't. That's fine. Yeah. I'll talk about the Celtics Bulls game real quick. Bulls defeated the Celtics 1. I know Jason Tatum led the way with 31 points. I'm going to pull up the stats real quick on Real. Shout out Real. Sponsor me, please. Jason Tatum, 31 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals on 45% shooting. Derek White didn't shoot great. Had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks on 36% shooting. Kristaps Porzingis, 20 and 8 with 3 blocks. Jaylen Brown, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Celtics shot 14 of 56 from 3. That's 25%. The Bulls shot 19 of 52. That's the difference maker. Simple as that. Celtics didn't shoot well. And they didn't really play great defense, especially in the fourth. They got outscored 35-22, and it was disappointing to see. I'll just leave it at this. I mean, sure, it sucked that they lost, but I feel like I have an iron coat now with them winning the championship last year. I'm like, it is what it is. It's December 20th now. It's midnight, and who cares? If it really has an impact later in the season, then it has an impact later in the season. I can't control any of this, and that's fine. What I will talk about is Justin Van Dyne. That guy can rot in hell. I don't really care. If none of you saw it, there was a jump ball between Ayo Dosunmu, Peyton Pritchard, and Jaylen Brown. I think it was pretty clearly on Pritch that he was the one doing the jump ball, but Joe Mazzulla, Psycho Joe, the GOAT, tried making the argument that saying, hey, I think it's JB. But he didn't just say, hey, I think it's JB. He kind of was yelling at the refs, getting in his face, and he got a technical from Justin Van Dyne. And Joe was irate. He was not happy with it. And long story short, there was a little bit more talking from Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, who didn't really say anything crazy explicit or anything wrong, he got a technical as well. So what was a 3-point game, possibly going to be Celtics ball, ends up now being a 5-point game with possibly being Celtics ball or Bulls ball. Hit ball by Pritchard, hits off of KP's hands, ball goes out of bounds. They come down off of a legal moving screen by Nikola Vucevic as he was sliding over and bumping Jaylen Brown as he was setting the screen. Zach LaVine hits a 3. Now it's an 8-point game. And that was basically the game out of reach. And then next ensuing possession on the defense side of the ball, Jason Tatum gets called for a foul, which was a foul, and gets teed up by Tony Brothers. I'm actually going to pull up what was said in regards to that. Let me pull up Cameron Tabatabai. So this was in an interview. This is the Pool Report interview that was conducted by Adam Himmelsbach of the Boston Globe with crew chief Tony Brothers following tonight's Chicago at Boston game. Question: what did Joe Mazzulla do that warranted the technical foul? Brother said he was out of the coach's box and on the floor. Himmelsbach then asked, so it wasn't anything he said? Brother said, no, it wasn't. And then Himmelsbach says, what did Jaylen Brown do to warrant the technical foul? Brother says, he questioned our integrity multiple times during that same sequence. And then final question is, what did Jason Tatum do to warrant his technical foul? Tatum received a respect for the game technical for an overt action towards an official. All right. So the three of them, so the refs got an ego trip and decided to take it out and ruin a game. I don't care. I really don't. This is the issue of the NBA. The referees, they suck. They actually suck. There was a big issue with the NFL probably about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago, where all the really good ones, like the Gene Serators, the Dean Blandinos, all of those guys left to go get paid a whole lot more money than they are right now, or than those refs are right now, and go work for CBS, Fox, Amazon Prime, whatever, NBC, whatever it is. They're making a lot more money. They're getting a pretty good check. There's no good ref in the NBA. And I know people are going to say, well, it's gonna vary from game to game. 100%. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. But we can't allow refs to have an ego trip and say, it's my game now, and change the impact of a game. Those are 3 points that if you take away, and also 2 possessions worth that you probably also take away, the Celtics could win this game. Could win this game. I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying they do whatsoever, but it's a possibility. And it's just disrespectful at the same time. Zach LaVine played great, though, for the Bulls. 36 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists on 58% shooting. And yeah, Nikola Vucevic, 16 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists on 78% shooting. Ayo Dosunmu played great. I don't know how to say his last name, I'll be honest. Patrick Williams was hitting some threes. I tweeted Lonzo Ball. I wish Lonzo Ball never got injured. I stand by that tweet. I love Lonzo Ball. I was watching him in high school. I still watch him to this day. Just an absurd talent of a player. If he didn't get injured, I think he would actually be an all-star. Just a tough game for the Celtics. Simple as that. Shout out those refs, though. Actually, no, they don't. I don't care. I would say another word, but I know my dad is listening. Big Mike, how are you? When are you going to be on the pod? Boom, roasted. Pops and Kid, baby. Live at 3 a.m. with Krispy Kreme donuts on site. All right. I guess I'll give to wrap up this episode, I'm going to give my top 5 players in the league. I did this pretty early in the season. I think I've actually done it in the first episode. And so it's been about 2 months since then. I remember my order was, I want to say, Jokic 1, Giannis 2, Luka 3, SGA 4, Tatum 5. That list has changed slightly. I'm going to give my reasoning. And also, if anybody who isn't really who is on NBA Twitter, whatever, if you're listening to this is my opinion. I don't care. They're all absurdly good players. Sure, some of them are in better situations than others, but I don't care. I really don't. So yeah. Number 5, SGA. He's dropped down 2 spots for me. Or no, just 1, sorry. Defensively improved a lot this season. He's always been very good defensively. His shot creating ability has really stood out to me. I feel like he was somebody that I would just see hey, he's really good this season. He's a superstar this season. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And I would just agree with it. And I never really watched it. And I've been able to watch it a lot more this season. And yeah, he's a freak. His playmaking ability, his shot creating, he's a 3-level scorer, but his shot selection is never bad in my opinion. His balance, his ability to contort his body to face the basket to get the shot that he wants is magnificent. It's prime Kyrie level in terms of just creating ability, not in terms of shiftiness, but just in terms of getting the shot that he wants. Just a really good player, adds such a great value on defense. And yeah, SGA at number 5. Number 4, Luka Doncic. People very much assume I'm a Luka hater, and I think it's probably because of that overrated take I have, where it's not so much I think Luka Doncic is overrated in terms of the player. I think it's more so the fans that overrate him into saying we've never seen anything like this before. It's Larry Bird. It's Larry Bird 2.0 with guard. labeled on him. He's the best shot maker in the league. Like, he makes shots that shouldn't be made, one. And two, he can shoot from anywhere on the court. He's the NBA's version of Caitlin Clark. And I know people are going to say Steph, but like in terms of accuracy as well. An offensive mastermind. He, like, the whole thing of like, oh, like if you can see like 2 moves ahead in chess, that's great. He's seeing 20 moves ahead. It's ridiculous. He can see the offensive floor so well. He's making these crazy passes. His ability to just read a defense is impeccable. And he's improved a lot on the defensive side of the ball as well. Are there times where he's lackadaisical? Yes, absolutely. But here's the thing. That's just how it is for everybody. And it is what it is. I guess this is my most controversial one. Number 3, I have Jason Tatum. Say whatever you want about his shooting. Say whatever you want about him being corny. Say whatever you want about him trying to hunt for a quote. It doesn't matter. He's an NBA champion now. He also is the best player on the best team, or was last season, and the best player on one of the best teams, one of the 2 best teams in the NBA. He has improved as a playmaker so much, especially over the last 2 seasons, or especially since like the bubble season, where that was like really when people started noticing his playmaking. But I think it's finally getting national attention now. If he is on, he is one of the best shooters in the league, can defend all 5 positions, like truly defend all 5 positions. He's the only guy on this list, other than maybe the number 2 guy, who can do that. Great passer, great rebounder, overall just an incredible defender, and he is a very good shooter. And I know, and this is where I get frustrated with people just looking at percentages. The shots he has, they just, like, some of them just don't go in. The one against the Hawks for the cup, that literally just rattled in and out like 2 times on each side and just popped out. So he's, in my opinion, he's the 3rd best player. The reason being, I just think he's better offensively than, I think he's better defensively than both SGA and Luka, where Luka is like maybe a tier above JT, but JT offensively, but JT is probably 2 or 3 tiers above Luka defensively. SGA, I think they're in the same tier, and I think SGA is just 1 tier, maybe 2 below JT. But yeah. But then there's a gap in between JT and the next 2 guys. I'll just say the next 2 guys together. It's Giannis and Jokic. Giannis 2, Jokic 1. Giannis, I think, is the most complete player in the NBA. I don't think, in terms of offensive effectiveness and defensive effectiveness, complete, I think it might be JT. Incredible defender, incredible length, great size, great shooting ability, great ball handling, playmaking, whatever it is, he's very good at it. There is no more effective of a defender, maybe Wemby right now, in my opinion, than Giannis. He is able to track down the ball so well. He's able to move off ball, move on ball very well. The only thing stopping him on offense half the time is Al Horford or a triple team. He gets to the rim with ease, and I said in the last video, you may not like his play style, but you have to respect it because he does it so well. He's averaging, I think, a career high in points. He is bringing in rebounds with ease. I think he's averaging like 30 and like 12 or something. It's pretty ridiculous. Giannis Antetokounmpo is also playing at an all defensive player level. The block he had in that game against the Hawks was absurd. He has been legit this season. And I just, if you don't know, now you know, kind of thing. But number 1 is Nikola Jokic, and he's the best offensive player in the world right now. If he had Rudy Gobert defense, then he'd be arguably the best player ever, possibly, just from a skill position or skill wise. He's so good. He makes everyone on the court better, and he does it so easily. I mean, who would have thought that a big Serbian white guy would be best player in the league? It's pretty cool to see. His shooting ability, his touch, his passing, his playmaking, his reading of a defense. It's so easy for him. He makes the game look so much easier than it actually is. And yeah, those are my top 5. So 5, SGA, 4, Luka, 3, Jason Tatum, 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and number 1, Nikola Jokic. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Just a reminder, there will be no episode next Tuesday, but there will be one next Friday. I hope all your I hope all your families have a wonderful Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate, and happy Kwanzaa. I don't know, just throwing it out there. Random player of the game, Pablo Prigioni. Is what it is, baby. Yeah, I'll see you all in the next episode. Peace.